No, there's sound. There's sound. Okay. Hello there, folks. This is
Hi
another
there.
episode. Sorry, this is another episode of Würfel Cast. It's episode 21 already. So we are now fully grown people. I mean, if you know what I mean. Weird. Anyway, we can now drink the polyjuice. That's weird. Anyway, so we're gonna go in a similar style like we usually go with, and we're gonna start with recent plays. And let me just try to share a screen as well, so we can talk about them. So, Kyle, while I do the magic of screen technology, why don't you start with your recent play?
All right. So a recent play, something I recently purchased and have played a lot of times, is a game called Nidavellir.
I heard about that one.
It's a little hard to spell, but it's a game. So the game is really just a drafting game, right? You're drafting a set of these dwarves, these characters, following certain rules. And so there's going to be three sections, the three taverns where the dwarves happen to be congregating. And you've got a set of 5 coins. And so you're going to bid, on each one coin on each of the taverns, and you'll have 2 left over. And sort of the hook of the game is that when you bid a 0, then you're going to take the 2 coins you didn't use, you're going to add them together, and you're going to get a new coin, just one of them, from us. Sort of, you can see that device over there that holds the coins. And so you're going to be upgrading your coins round by round, and at the end of the game you score points for doing so, but also you'll have much better coins in the future so that you can win the bids more easily. You always get something, but if you win the bid, you get first choice. The other hook is that you're trying to make sets of 5 colors, and every time you make a set of 5 different colors, you get one special dwarf, which could be, there's a wide variety of them. And then also there's a mid-game scoring, and whoever has the most of each of the 5 colors is going to get some bonus that's going to be applicable for the second half of the game. It sounds, that sounds like a lot of rules, but it's actually really all of the rules. They all score in different ways, and you have to sort of decide how you're going to be scoring, what you want to focus on. Also try and stay ahead of the other people. There, you can play the sort of denial game where you're trying to starve people from getting all 5 of the colors so that you can prevent them getting the special cards. It's not very long, but it's really very simple, and it goes over really well. I've not had a play of this that has gone wrong, and I've played it a lot of times lately. I've really been enjoying it. It's not really in wide distribution over here. I had to order mine from a European store, but I really enjoy it, and I really recommend it, and I have really been playing a lot of it.
Okay, nice. The cards remind me of Wild Lands a little bit.
Well,
the iconography and on the side of these, like it looks like a Wildlands. If you remember the iconography in Wildlands.
Yeah, I remember not liking it. This one, the icons are very simple. They're kind of all the same. It just really shows you, like the green icons, you just count how many there are, and then there's a table that shows how many points they're worth. The red ones have an icon and a number in it, and that number is the points. So there's really not a whole lot of iconography in this game at all. It's very simple, very learner friendly.
All right, something I definitely want to try.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll be for everybody, but I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it sounds like something that I can invest my time into. It's not a 4-hour game with tons of rules and separate rules. Yeah,
it's half an hour at most. That would be really pushing it. And if you're playing with sort of non-regular gamers, it might be a good one to introduce people.
I have a few. Okay, so what's your other recent play?
Other recent play. Well, there have been a lot, but the one that I'll talk about played as recently as last night, and that is the new expansion for Tapestry, the Plots and Ploys expansion.
Mm-hmm.
It arrived yesterday, and I was excited to play it, and so I did. So this expansion is a very small expansion. It has 5 models, 5 of the buildings, and a few cards. You can see those 5 cards right there. Those are, well, there's one that's a Tapestry card, but the other 5 cards are building cards, and at the start of the game, everybody gets one in reverse player order. You get to choose from sort of a diminishing set, and that gives you some goal to focus on. So if you have 5 of those exploration tiles, you can maybe claim yours, or if you've made a complete row or column in your capital city. And so it gives you, you don't have to do it, but it's a way to get a building. It's a way to sort of start filling your board. And it's something, it gives you to focus. There are also, I don't know, 10 or so new civilizations that are just new civilizations. If you've played all the old ones, then here you go. And then there are some new space tiles, which just add to the mix. If in case you are making it up that blue track really quickly, one of the new races or the new civilizations uses them. And then there's some tracking tokens just to show when those landmarks have been taken or not. It's not a huge expansion, but it does what it does very well, meaning you can throw it right into the base box and teach it to a new player with really the only additional rule is that sort of starting card, and that's extremely obvious what it does. So there's really very little overhead. It's a good expansion. I enjoyed it a lot. It sort of fits back into the base box if you've thrown the insert away. And unfortunately, it doesn't have those nice bases for the buildings yet, so I'm going to have to see if somebody has made those and purchased them again.
Yeah, let me know as well.
Yeah.
Plus,
but basically, if you like Tapestry, this is a no-brainer. If you don't like Tapestry, this will not change your mind.
Yeah. No, I think I have a wooden insert. That's interesting. If you like, the buildings won't fit anyway because there's no those special holes for those new buildings. But I'm thinking if it will fit there in the base box overly with that wooden insert. I have to see.
Well, it probably would. I don't know what the insert is like that you have, but I assume the 10 civilizations will just fit with the other ones. They're not. That doesn't add that much volume, and the number of cards is like 30. It's not a lot.
I have culled my collection quite well, so I can fit an extra box if it's needed. Like, and for example,
it's a small box.
Store miniatures in one box and everything else in the other one.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's something. Yeah, that's something I want to get as well. One thing I want to say about Tapestry Plans and Ploys is that when I played Tapestry, that I had some problems with that game, and I was I wanted to have an expansion, and I wanted to have an expansion that would add something that would fix those problems. And it seems like, sadly, though maybe I'll play Tapestry again and I'll see the different way, But sadly, this expansion doesn't fix any of the stuff in the box. It seems like it just adds more of the same fun that people had if they had fun with Tapestry.
Yeah, that's exactly that. I don't think it changes really anything about the game radically. It just is a couple of things that you would throw in if you said, well, I've played all of the existing civilizations 7 times each, and I'm bored with them. Well, here are 10 or so more. It also, if you liked those trap cards, if you remember the trap Tapestry cards.
Yeah.
But there weren't very many in the deck. This adds, most of the new Tapestry cards are kind of like, they're spins on that. So there's the kind of card that you can play if somebody plays a trap on you. There are different sort of
nice.
ways.
Yeah.
So if you play with people who do a lot of conquering, that might impact the game.
Yeah, but
you left them in or not would be up to you.
I didn't like the tapestry cards. Sorry, the tapestry cards themselves were a clunky mechanic because it's random. But the trap cards themselves, I didn't like them that much
Mhm.
because yeah, it's all a big random factor if you get the card in your hand or not, and it just kind of comes out of nowhere.
Mhm.
It's not like everybody has an opportunity to repel. It's like more if you you have a chance,
Yeah.
and you got that chance. That's why I didn't like the trap cards that much.
Mhm. Well, it's that's sort of what the expansion is. I liked it. Tapestry is a game that is growing on me a lot. I've been playing a lot of it lately for whatever reason, and I've started to enjoy it quite a bit more even than I did at the beginning.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We're gonna go to my recent plays. Let's go quickly through them. The first one, and there's sadly a second wave of pandemic of the virus going on, at least in Europe, and it's getting worse here. So maybe I won't be able to play with other people for a while again, which is sad. But one of the games that I wanted to try a long time ago, and I had a physical copy, but at that time I wasn't really sure about if I would really get to campaign games or legacy games. And of course, after playing Scythe, I realized that I might have a group of people that are willing to invest time into legacy games.
Okay.
So I'm talking about Charterstone, but
Oh,
because Charterstone, but because I'm gonna show you the real Charterstone here, the physical copy, but because we cannot really come together and play that game, we realized that we should just purchase Charterstone digital through Steam and play it there. And
okay.
it's, to be honest, it's a lot of fun because the beginning of that game it is slow, but through the kind of a management of digital management of that game inside the AI that manages things, the moving parts and things, it goes rather quickly. And so we played 3 games in a row in a short period of time, which is really, really cool. So we started the campaign, the legacy campaign, and I really like building up and just the simple putting meeples there and getting the resources so you can build the buildings that give you some extra things, and you have some other, like the tutorial in the digital version isn't the best of the best. It kind of teaches you, but you will figure it out after one play. You'll figure it out. So Charterstone digital though is a great implementation of Charterstone, and it is totally a board game. It feels like a board game. It doesn't feel like a video game or anything like that. So I really like that edition. Plus discovering new stuff and opening those boxes and things virtually though. Really cool extra mechanics that adds to the game. And some of them were like, oh, that's okay. And some of them were like, ooh, really cool. So, worker placement game, rather easy, legacy, and I don't know, it works. It works as digital really, really well. I like it a lot. So
Okay. I have not played the digital version of Charterstone. I did play through the base campaign one time. And I liked it. I never found it amazing, and there were some parts that were extremely strange. But I'm wondering how those are going to come across in the digital version.
I think it's the same game, but it just kind of feels more light, and you feel like you can go if there are some wrongs, some if there are some things that you don't like about the game, they won't bother you in the digital version that much, I feel. Maybe, I don't know. I cannot compare.
I mean, I Charterstone's just okay in my opinion, but maybe I mean, if you're having a good time with it, maybe I'll have a digital version as well. We'll see.
We might try it together, and you get the digital version, and we play that.
Well, that's true. We could do that.
That's the easiest way to play because you are in US and I'm in Estonia. Anyway, so this is the one. It's more like an investment, a group investment, and there's another game that was a group investment. At first, I had to buy it myself, but then I told the others, like, "Do you want to play with me? Do you want to invest in a game a little bit? You know, kind of create this kind of a shared group moment and a game that is shared by everyone, and everyone kind of invests in that, and that makes them want to play it as well because they kind of invested in that personally." And I'm talking about the Harry Potter deck building game, the Hogwarts Battle. Because we are all, or like three of us, are Harry Potter fans, and I was like, I know it's a simple deck builder. With like you just you have cards, you have attack symbols, you have buy symbol, like the coin symbol. So you get the coins, you buy new cards with the coins. The attacks are to attack villains, so you put the attack symbols on villains to defeat them. The villains give you the villains are doing something bad, taking health away from you, or letting you discard cards, or letting everyone do something bad. So there are bad things, bad events happening to you all the time, and you're trying to survive, build up your deck, and defeat those villains. And in this game, you have boxes, game 1 through game 7, which are basically like the films, the books, and it becomes harder and harder. I mean, the game 6 is really hard, in my opinion, but it's cool. That means that you have more replayability than just 7 times, we played one of those games, one of the boxes, like 3 times in a row until we defeated it eventually.
Okay.
And it is luck-based. I mean, it might be the problem with some that the villains that come out, if you get to multiple villains at once, the combo of those villains, they all work at the same time. And some of those combos are like almost broken. It's almost impossible to win them if they come up together. Like, for example, Bellatrix or Draco Malfoy. Let's say, I don't remember their abilities, but let's say those two come up together and you have to defeat them at the same time. They just destroy you. So it depends on what villains are at what time, and sometimes it's luck. But you die, you are defeated, you try again, and this is a game for Harry Potter fans. I mean, all those memories that you have from reading or watching the movies, it's here. You will like it much more if you like Harry Potter. If you just like deck builders, you will also like it, but it will be like, yeah, it's a deck builder. Yeah, you do that, And I didn't tell you it's cooperative, so it's not a competitive. It's cooperative deck builder. So yeah, we have invested in the base game, and we have we have pre-ordered 2 of the expansions.
Okay.
That they have, because the first expansion is out of stock. Was out of stock for some time, and it's going to come back, and then they're going to bring the second expansion in. So, which I don't know, it's fun to open those game boxes and get new cards, and like based on the films, new characters that you remember from the films. It's nostalgic, yeah. Harry Potter, Hogwarts Battle.
Well, I played the original one. I was underwhelmed by it. It just sort of felt like a regular deck builder.
Yeah.
But I gave my copy to somebody who's a huge Harry Potter fan, and she rather enjoys it. So
that's what I tell you. I mean, like, plus if you play, I mean, 4 players is great with this one.
Okay. Well, there you go.
All the characters in. Okay. So now we're gonna go away from the recent plays, and we're gonna go into our next topic, which is what's on Kickstarter. What's on K S. We're going to talk about the games, or one game each, that's on Kickstarter and that we like to show you. Let me just then click on that Kickstarter here and get to this page. So I think, Kyle,
Okay.
you want to...
So the game I will talk about is an expansion to a game that I enjoy. The expansion is called Steel Slayer. It's an expansion for the Reckoners.
How do you...
Steel Slayer. I think it's SteelSlayer. One word.
Oh, the one word. Okay. Yeah. I got it. Because I put them as two different words.
Yeah. So the one thing that was missing from the Reckoners game was, as you might know, the Reckoners is a 3-book series, and the game was just book 1. So what I'm excited about is that this has added the big bads from book 2 and book 3, Regalia and Limelight, and that's enough for me. I was ready. It also adds, new cards, and each of the different cities that the books take place in, they're sort of structured differently. So you've got, you've got different rules for Babylar, and you've got different rules for, I forget the name, Ithildia, whatever it is. It's Atlanta, but it's made out of salt. And you've got new mechanisms to sort of show the different bad guys, Limelight and Regalia. You've got more of the epic cards, these sort of lower level bad guys that you can fight against. You've got more to play as. It's basically just more stuff for the Reckoners. It doesn't look like it's going to change the rules a ton. It's just going to allow you to play different scenarios, which is really all that was missing from the game to begin with. And so I'm excited for it.
Okay. I haven't played Reckoners, but I think I should at least try the base game.
You might enjoy it. I think it's a strong base game just by itself. But if you liked Steelheart, the book Steelheart, then it will definitely be a hit for you. If you didn't read Steelheart, it might make you want to.
Okay. Because looks like a ton of money. But if you want to get an epic edition with pre-painted miniatures and things,
that's what I have for the base game, so that's what I'm getting for this one. It has the pre-painted miniatures. There aren't very many of them, but a few, and it also has metal components, so all of the wooden components are upgraded to metal.
Okay.
Which makes it very heavy.
Nice. Okay. That's good.
But it also makes me want to get out the Reckoners and try it again. It's been a little while.
Yeah. All right. So my desired Kickstarter, not desired, but my Kickstarter project I chose is called Monsters on Board. I chose this one because I had like 2 of the Kickstarter I wanted to choose. One was The Streets, which I also think might be a good game, but Monsters on Board. Then I looked at the video, and it was like, sounds really cool. I don't know. I'm just into colorful, bright, cool themed games with, like, I don't know. I just want to have games on my table that pop, that are the candies. That way, I think many other people will be excited to play it with me.
Those dice have a lot going on.
Yeah. It's
big.
Yeah, it's not a lot, but basically in this game, I don't know exactly how it's played. I haven't played watched any playthroughs, anything like that. But it looks a lot, but it seems to be rather easy. Basically, you're drafting dice through those card mobiles or whatever they are, fear mobiles. Okay, so you draft those dice, and those dice have values. So the greater value of a die, for example, if it's 5, it's a stronger die, but it gives you less actions or not so good actions. And that's the thing. Like, you get more actions or better actions on the lower numbered sides of the die. And you're drafting those different dice. And what's cool about that is that, how they call that? I like the word spook juice. The spook juice. You need to get the spook juice, and that's where you win the game. Basically
Okay.
points. And you're going out. You have those your monsters, and you have apprentices. I think of monsters, things like that. You want to scare the town or something like that, and you want to summon the Spider Jack and impress him and become a greatest monster, scariest monster, but something like that. You want to collect the spook juice. So,
Okay.
and it goes through the kind of like a worker placement, it seems, dice drafting, and some special abilities, and moving around the board and things. And it seems to be mechanical, but it looks so candish and cool monsters and things. If you see these are the miniatures, but maybe you'll see all the gameplay now. You see here. Sadly, okay, you have to see the. There's no card art here, really. I really like the monsters on the cards, how they are done. Sadly, there's no that. Anyway,
Okay.
I don't know what to say about. The artist is by Mikko. Mikko is the one who made Raiders of the North Sea and all that series, Viscounts of the North Sea, Paladins of Kingdom, whatever. Basically, that Mikhailo Dmitrievsky, I think, is the full name of that artist. So he's really good, and this game looks amazing. I really want to try this game.
Well, the one thing about the art, I mean, he's a fairly prolific artist, but lots of his games end up all looking the same, and this one I can tell doesn't look the same, and so that one's
different. It kind of looks different, though. I'm not keen on his art because, as you said, because I've seen his art before, and every of his games, which are like different games, but I've been like, oh, this is Raiders of the North Sea. No, this is like Viscounts of the West Kingdom. Like, they're all the same. He doesn't change his style, and it's sad because I would like him to go deeper into something else. So, but I mean, look at that. This is adorable.
Okay. Well, there you go. We'll see.
Let's go back to something else. Oh, the next topic. And the next topic is Guess That Game. And let's just stop sharing the screen for a moment. Ooh, we're looking good. Anyway, Guess That Game is a game where we guess that game. That's it? Am I right? Did I do it right? Okay.
That's pretty much
maybe.
what it is.
Anyway, we're gonna give hints to each other and try to guess what's that game we're talking about. So, your first pick.
Okay. My first is a game about space. Space.
Empires of the Void 2.
No, it is not Empires of the Void 2. This game has a time track. So when you take actions, they'll if they cost more time, you're going to have to wait a while before it's your turn again.
Space game with lone architects.
No, it's not that one. This game is about real space. So no aliens, more planets and asteroids and stuff.
I don't know. Terraforming Mars.
No. This is a game about deduction.
Oh, deduction, space, real space, deduction. I'm lost.
Unlocked?
I cannot come. I'm lost. I cannot.
Well, and so the That's all of the clues I had. The the game is The Search for Planet X.
Okay, I don't know that game. Okay.
It just recently come out, but it's been talked about a little bit lately. So
I
it's
see. Okay.
basically, like I said, it's a space deduction game. You've got an app that runs sort of where things are, and you're trying to figure out what's in each of the 12 sectors of the night sky, or 18 if you play on the hard mode. And you get points for finding the different things, for having them correct, and whoever has the most points wins. Obviously, finding Planet X is the best because it's worth the most points, but you don't have to. You can find the one time I played it, I did not find Planet X, but I did find everything else, and that was why I won.
Okay.
So there you go. The Search for Planet X.
Okay. All right. So let me think about my pick. And I I have to come up with one because I wrote only one down. I forgot about the other one. Okay, but this game this game has a area control mechanism in it. It's a rather central mechanism.
Is it Mission Red Planet?
No. In this game, you are trying to get the pairs of cards from the center.
Pairs of cards from the center.
Yeah. When you get the cards, you get pairs.
Nope.
This game has a number on the box, which is from 19th century.
A number on the box. Is it Brussels 1893?
No, but you're almost there. The number is right.
Oh.
Okay.
World's Fair, 1893.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So that was my last clue. The number is right. The number is right. Okay. Yeah. That's World's Fair. And this one, yeah, it's kind of like an area control game where you're trying to get those cards from the center pairs of cards and trying to collect stuff and get those achievements and getting most points.
Yeah, that's I need to do that again.
It's rather simple. It's really hard to describe it the other way. Anyway, there's another one. You need to give me hints.
Okay. My first hint is this is a game about trading.
Trading.
Mm-hmm.
Trading the Tigris.
No, although I do like that game. You are trading in this game in the Caribbean.
Merchants and Marauders. No,
but this is a game about pirates.
Trading in the Caribbean. Francis Drake. No, it's not. You're not trading there. I realized.
I don't think you're in the Caribbean, but maybe you are.
I don't remember.
Anyway, no, it's not that one. In this game, you are, while trading and avoiding pirates, you are moving around the Caribbean clockwise, but not going back.
Caribbean clockwise, avoiding pirates. Maybe I know that game, maybe not. I think I haven't played any such game.
I think you have not played it, but you do know what it is.
I think I know. Give me another clue.
Okay. This game has a story mode.
Oh, the Maracaibo? Is it the one?
That's the one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you got lost for a moment.
Maracaibo.
Connection problems. Yeah. No, that's not the one I would play. Let's go to the next one. Okay.
But it is one you know about. That's what I said.
yeah. I was confused because I didn't know there are pirates. because I was thinking about something
Yeah, there's
towards.
Isabella the pirate.
Okay, yeah, I was thinking about towards something like Feld or Fister or something like that, because you said it's like a what is it called, the rondel mechanic. So, all right. So my last one is a game that has a post-apocalyptic theme.
Is it Aftermath?
No. Uh, this game has different, unique, cool factions.
Mm. Is it Hiroshima Hex?
No. Um,
Mm.
but this game is a fantasy flight game. Are gonna be
Mm. Uh, I'm not. I'm not. It's not. It's not calling out to me.
okay. You'll get it. Another clue is it has mechanized suits, or what they are. The armor, mechanized kind of armor.
Well, Anachrony has those, but it doesn't. That's not a Fantasy Flight game.
No, uh, they are kinda like the suits in Anachrony, kinda. Not really. Um, this game has Nuke Cola. Nuke Cola.
Oh, is it? Is it that Fallout game?
Yes, true.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
that's the
haven't played
Fallout.
that one, but
It's a nice one. I liked it.
okay.
Going to quests and things. But if I would tell you the hint, something like it has quests and things, I'm like, okay. Every
Yeah.
game has quests. Okay.
No, but many games do.
Oh yeah, kind of. I'm over exaggerating. Anyway, we'll go to the next topic, and we're gonna talk about the underrated and overrated games, and the topic is under and over. Yeah, that's the symbol we're gonna do. In the future, we're gonna have those things going on there as well. Anyway, under and over. This is about the games that we feel are underrated and, of course, overrated as well. So, Kyle, why don't you start while I do the magic of sharing the screen?
Okay. Very well. All right. Are we doing the underrated game first? The underrated game I want to talk about today is the Dresden Files cooperative card game.
Okay.
The Dresden Files cooperative card game is a game that will take you through the Dresden Files series. I had not even really heard of the Dresden Files until I played the game, and it made me want to go and read the books, and I read them all. So in this game, you will take various characters from the Dresden Files. The Dresden Files is about Harry Dresden, who is a wizard for hire, and he's kind of like a private investigator who also happens to be a wizard. And you're going to go through one of the stories, and you'll play the cards, and you're trying to sort of balance the different resources you need so that you can combat these threats or solve these events. The green cards, you have to get one resource to solve. The red one, you have to get another resource to avoid. And you're also occasionally going to have to play one of your cards to get those. You see those little, they were on the picture there. Those little pentagram tokens, which are sort of the energy you have to play other cards. And it's not long. It's not really a card. I mean, it's a card game, but it's not really. It's more just sort of using those resources that you have, which are fixed, and each character has sort of a set of resources, and trying to manage that track of the various things you can get. And it has an interesting, I mean, all the artwork's kind of the same, but in one particular story, unfortunately, but it does sort of bring across lots of the big moments of the various books. And so, if you want Polka Will Never Die, there's a Polka Will Never Die card. If you you liked one particular story, like, I don't know, if you liked sort of the Winter Night series or things like that, you've got I think all of them are currently there. It's something like 18, 19 different cases you can solve. And then there's also sort of an endless mode where you can take random ones that will sort of generate it. If you want to keep going, if the 15 to 20 games that come in the box aren't enough, you can play it as much as you like with the endless mode.
Mhm.
I really like it, but it's not one that about. I don't know. I've talked about it before, but I don't know really very many other people who have much experience with this game. So I think it's underrated.
Okay. All right. What's your overrated?
My overrated game, now again, overrated does not mean I don't enjoy it. The overrated game I have is Gaia Project. Now, I
Okay.
Gaia Project, but it's very highly regarded. Yet it's not a game that at least when I would go to game days or things, it's not one that I would see played very often. It's not. I mean, it's really the same game as Terra Mystica with a few things changed. Terra Mystica is also very highly rated, but that one has several expansions. This one, Gaia Project, is just the same thing but in space, and it doesn't really. It doesn't jump off the table and grab you. It's fairly dry. I enjoy it. I think it's a good game, but I do think it is a little bit higher rated based upon at least how many people I see playing it and how much fun I get out of the game. I would say, I think that it is a little bit overrated.
Okay. Yeah, I've not played any of these games, so I can't really tell. All right, so let's go to
It looks like one you want to play,
What?
right?
No. Okay, let's go to my underrated game, and the game I feel is underrated, though I do kind of understand why, partially, but I still feel that with few tiny tweaks and just a new publisher and new print, it might be a bigger hit. And I'm talking about Patch History.
Ah,
Because I feel like this is the one. This is the not a Tetris game, but it's not polyamorous game, but kind of is a little bit of that feel, you know. And this is the one I would definitely play. And I feel like this is a great civilization game. It's somewhat abstract, but to be honest, most of the civilization games right now are abstract, because if you want to do a highly thematic civilization game, then just play the civilization on computer and don't bother yourself finding a perfect civilization game as a board game, because all of them have either big flaws or are too long, too convoluted, or are too abstract. You know, there's no civilization game which is, you know, great in all the aspects. But in this one, the cool part is that you are patching your kingdom, and at some point when you're putting the new cards out, the rectangular cards, you have to abandon something, and you're managing all those resources. You're trying to manage the different tracks of your resources so you can have enough of them. Plus, you are creating trade routes with another player, trying to get them more bonuses. And the bidding, and I don't remember exactly, the two-player game wasn't so good, and the bidding isn't so good. But I mean, like, I think it needs just few tweaks and few balance tweaks as well from few cards, and it will be a great game. But it's still, I loved it when I played it. I mean, like, I rated it a 9, despite despite some things that weren't that great about this game. It just such a satisfying experience of patching your kingdom. There's no other game that does that, in my opinion. We have some games that do the patching. We like Honshu, for example, or there's also that where you're building the pyramid of cards, the Viceroy, kind of almost like that, but it's not in that way that this game does. It does it in a grand way. I don't know, and managing those meeples, it just just cool. It's tight. It's a tight
Okay.
mechanic of workers and things, and so I just love
Yeah.
it. I mean, it's so underrated. It should be reprinted with much better quality components. To be honest, the cards are oof, they're
Yeah,
bad.
a graphic design upgrade wouldn't hurt either.
Though I think it's clean. I mean, like I like the art on the cards, which are the wonders and people. But yeah, the graphic design we can upgrade that as well. And yeah, just a new print needed for that game to shine. And I hope at some point somebody will do that.
Okay.
It will come back. I'm sure about that. But my overrated game is one of my most hated games of all time because it's so random. It's not even a game. It's garbage. And I would take out that garbage anytime. And that's Tales of the Arabian Nights. I hated this game, and I feel that this game doesn't deserve to be 419 overall. I just I cannot understand what people find funny about this game. And I do like random games. You know me. I do like random games. I do like story games a lot. But this one is just a combination of a random on random on random on random. You just you can just do nothing and just make the robot do turns instead of you, and you'll have more fun looking at the robot doing your turns. The story doesn't come together. You get those oh ha 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 funny cards, yeah, hairless ape or things and like that. It's just a terrible game, and it's not even a game. It's terrible waste of cardboard and plastic.
I see.
It's just oof.
It has been a while since I've played this one. I might have to try it.
Highly
I
overrated.
remember thinking it was a little bit off the rails, but and the whole sort of points mechanisms were a little ill-conceived.
There's no it's a coating.
But I don't know. I enjoyed it. I don't know that I've thought about it in a long time though.
Oof, hate that. And it's highly overrated. Anyway, let's go to another topic. And we're gonna talk about funky components. And these are stark looking, these are unique, wild, extraordinary, weird components from games, from board games. And Kyle, why don't you start?
Well, all right. So I told you that my component is one that does not come in the box. That is, of course, because this game does not have a box. The game is called Cheeky Monkey.
Okay. And what's the...
And the funky component is the monkey.
Is it monkeys with plural?
Monkey singular.
Okay.
And it comes in, I think that's what it's called.
A plush toy?
In a plush toy. There you go. It is that is the bag. I mean, that's the box there. And what you do in the game is there's a hole in the monkey's butt, so you part its cheeks and reach in and pull out chips. And it's basically, you're trying to make sets of animals and get the most of different kinds and get points. I see you can also play with a bag, apparently, which is a little less fun. But the whole game is just pulling chips out of a monkey's butt. And I find that to be an interesting component.
Okay. Okay. Yes. So my funky component, I don't want to comment on that. I'm sorry. My funky component is from a well-known game that's I think it's from Cool Me or Not, but it was from another company first, and then they reprinted it. It's from Potion Explosion, and we're of course talking about the marble tray.
Ah,
It is funky, it is weird, but it's cool. You know, with the what's it called, the Candy Crush, whatever the video games, whatever they are, the phone games.
mhm.
Anyway, all of that thing into kind of a match the colors of these circles and things. And so here you have marbles, and then you have this kind of a machinery where you put the marbles in and they come out of here, and you're pulling those out from here, and they kind of explode in this machine like Candy Crush and things.
Mhm.
So it's just weird looking, it's just cool looking. It pops on the table. Yeah, just something that
Yeah, it's
you're
a
not
good game.
gonna.
I like it best with two, definitely. And it's definitely
Yeah, the game is okay. I like it fine. I mean, like, it's okay.
Mhm.
It's not the best game. I don't think I'm going out to play that game again. But the marble tray is a cool component. I like to see that in uh, another game, a
Okay,
better game.
there you go.
Okay, so now we're gonna go to our top 10 topic, and the top 10 is cardboard games,
Hmm.
not the wood board games, not the metal board games, not clay games. Let's not play with clay. Let's play with cards. And yeah, this topic is basically about games that have, at least in my opinion, like we discussed it a little bit, and there's no certain definition of that we put down, but mostly like the card mechanism or the cards should be kind of a central mechanic of a game, should be uh, a higher percentage of the game. So, but I don't know that we might disagree on a few picks, and
Right.
so, but yeah, I think these are the games that have cards as central mechanism, but they are bigger than just card games.
Right.
It's not like small card games. We're gonna do card game, the smaller ones, in the next episode.
Okay.
Anyway, let's go to your number 10.
My number 10. All right. So we'll see if you disagree with me already, but this game is really, essentially, it is Rummy, which is a classic card game, but it has a board. And the Rummy mechanisms, the game, of course, is Ticket to Ride. And in that game's all about the cards. You're getting the cards, you're placing the cards, you're making sets, and trying to get different sets and play them. It's mostly cards, but the board also has a big aspect of it.
I'm not sure I would go with it being a card game. But I kind of agree with you and kind of not, because the central mechanism for me in this game is to create those train tracks. It's a train track building game.
And the way you do that is by playing Rummy.
Yeah, kinda. I mean, like, yeah, we can argue. It's
Yeah.
something that I'm not sure where I should put that, but let's say it is. Let's say it is.
Well, there you go.
Okay, so my number 10 is a weirdo in a sense of a theme, and I'm talking about Imaginarium.
Okay.
If you've seen, Imaginarium has this kind of a mouth in the center of the board.
Oh,
That, yeah, that's really weird. But this game for me is a card game, but in a bigger sense, because this is basically a resource conversion game. You're trying to get your machinery going. It's not really a tableau building, but it's an engine building, sorts of, and resource conversion. and you're getting down those cards, and you have more things to do in this game. But you're trying to collect the resources and getting some cool abilities and building up those machinery, which costs resources but give you more points and more resources, and they have different levels and stuff.
Yeah.
So weird theme, resource conversion game, but essential mechanism is a card play,
Okay.
card drafting. So Imaginarium, my number 10, by the way. Sorry, it was my number 10 Imaginarium. Let's go
Yeah.
to your number
Yeah,
9.
I might have to. I might have to give that one another try because it went over like a lead balloon when we played it here. But anyway,
Yeah.
all right. My number 9 is a game that's all about cards. In fact, it's a game that's about a card game, and that game is Millennium Blades.
Okay.
So this game is mostly just cards, right? There is a board, but what you're doing is sort of building your own deck in a weird way and trying to acquire rare cards, make sets, and I'm doing a lot of gestures today. It's all about a card game, but it's more than that. It's all about the cards and how you're using them and how you're sort of making your deck work. It's a deck building game about a deck building game, I guess. a card game about a collectible card game. And it's a lot of fun. It's one that I don't get to play all that often just because the real-time aspects of it make it very difficult to teach. And you really need more than just 2 people for it. But when I do get to play it, it's always fantastic. It's always a lot of fun. And with the right group, it really sings. It's at its core an economic game, but it's all about the cards.
Yeah. Okay. My number 9 is a game that it could be a small card game as well. That's the thing where I think it's on the edge of that being a cardboard game. But I'm talking about Elysium here.
Okay.
I think it counts because it feels like a bigger game, but it's essentially a card game.
Yeah, it is.
It is. It's just the cool abilities on the cards and how you manage them, like they are abilities or they are points in sets. But there's also one of the mechanisms is those what they call them, columns, things, which is also kind of like a central mechanism of the game, because based on the columns you draft the card from the center. And I like that. And you have to pay for the cards with those columns, and you have cool decisions of what you're gonna give away, so you can still grab a few things later in the turn. And these cards are basically sets of different, like, member families or gods or whatever they are, and they give you points at the end of the game, but they also can give you abilities during the game or more money or things. And so, yeah, it's a card drafting game, but it feels bigger. So that's why I put it on this list. It doesn't feel like a small card game.
Okay, there you go.
Your number 8.
My number 8 is a game that I know you like. It might show up on yours later, but it's really just a card game. It's a card game with a board, and the game is Abyss, and you're collecting these smaller cards so that you can use them to buy bigger cards. And yeah, there's a lot of trappings. There's the pearls, and there's a bunch of cardboard tiles, and you're making the cards will go into different groups, and so you might take one group or the other. But it's really just a card game with nice art and nice abilities and lots of things to do with those cards. But at its core, it's all about them.
Yeah, I agree on that. Okay. Let's go to my number 8. My number 8 is a game which has... Well, now that's hard because, I mean, it has 2 central mechanisms. And one of the mechanisms is racing. But I think racing is more like a genre. And if you think about this game, it is a racing game. But the central part of that, the important part of that, are the cards that you're drafting, along with the dice. And I'm talking about Steampunk Rally. And in Steampunk Rally, though, it is a
Okay.
race
I haven't played
game.
that forever.
Yeah, I got the new edition, so maybe I'll play it soon. But as you can see, it has a ton of cards, and the cards are parts of the machinery, and you're building up your machinery, and that's the central thing. Because if you build up the machineries, and you are also using cards as special abilities, you're also using cards in order to get the dice. So basically, you can convert cards into dice. It's not like you're drafting dice separately. You're drafting cards, and then you are doing they are multi-use or something like that, and machineries as well. So, and the race part is cool. It's nice moving forwards and through the mountains and stuff, blah blah blah. But the most fun part is to build up your machine and activate those cards in different ways, so you can go further on the track. But this sort of engine building here, like engine building, So I don't know if you agree with me.
No, I agree. I didn't think about it just because I have not played it in a long time. But it is basically a card game. It's a standard drafting game with racing.
Yeah, that's that. Okay, let's go to your number 7.
My number 7 is a game that is also all about cards. It comes with so many cards, and shuffling them after its expansions is really kind of difficult. The game, of course, is a popular game these days, and that is Wingspan. In Wingspan, you are doing your engine building, but how are you doing it? You're doing it with cards. There's 3 cards out for purchase. One of the main mechanisms of the game is trying to develop your ability to get those cards so that you can then pick the ones that are going to help you to achieve your goal. You can place them in different places and then improve upon different actions that you can do. But at its core, it's mostly about all of these cards, which happen to have pretty bird pictures on them.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I do agree with that one as well. Okay, so my number 7 is a game that's it's totally a card game, and it is a set collection game. But bear with me, I think it's a sprawling game. It's a big game, especially with the expansions. And I've played it with various expansions lately, and I'm talking about Museum. And Museum is a set collection game with cards, and everything is cards basically. But the expansions, especially, they add those extra things. That, of course, is also kind of the same thing. But I mean, like, for example, the archaeologist expansion adds those archaeologists who are like people that go around on that separate boards, and they give you cool special abilities, and they give you the permission to buy cards from the center of the board in certain regions. So it's kind of an extra mechanic. So I would say Museum with the archaeologists is a little bit more than just a card game. But I mean, like, it is big, it's sprawling, it is a set collection eventually, but I cannot put it under the card game. I cannot go with like a small card game. It feels like a board game. It feels full, big.
Sure.
So, yeah, nothing else to say. I don't know if you agree with me.
No, I agree. I didn't think about it just because I need to give Museum another try. I had some problems with it, but I probably will when the new edition in the big box comes out, and I'll probably like it at that point.
You need to put a few expansions in, though. They are overwhelming at first if you combine all the different... So we played with the World Fair, People's Choice, and the Black Market.
Well, I think the first one I would try would be Cthulhu, but...
Cthulhu is the Kickstarter exclusive expansion. I didn't get that because I bought the game separately from Kickstarter. So,
okay.
Sadly. Anyway, your number 6.
My number 6 is another game that's all about cards, another engine building-y type game. Even more than Wingspan, this one is about its cards, but it definitely comes with a lot of other components. including a large cardboard tree. That is Everdell. It's
Okay.
really what you're doing is building a tableau of 15 cards that have different abilities that sometimes will activate once, activate each season. There is some work in there. There is some resource collection and trying to achieve goals, but at its core, what really matters in the game is these cards, where they are, whether they're in your hand, whether you have too many, whether you can use them for different things, and trying to get particular cards to fulfill certain missions. It's all about cards. Everdell is a card game with lots of other things. That is my number 6.
Okay. Yeah, I do agree with that one. It is a card game, but just with
With a lot of trappings.
I mean, like the worker placement is also essential there. So there are two big things going on: worker placement and card game. But the card game is more important than worker placement.
Right.
All right. So my number 6 is a game that I played with you, and I have it pre-ordered. I hope to get it very soon, in October, I think. And that's Aquatica. And I do feel like Aquatica, it's essentially a card game. It's like, as you said, with Abyss, it is something towards that, but it doesn't feel like a usual small card game. It also feels like similar to Elysium. It's basically a card game, but it feels bigger.
Yeah.
Because you are getting those cards, you're sliding them into your boards and using them as kind of a resource or like an action points, basically. Which in which case the cards become more than just cards, in my opinion. But everything else is based on cards. Your own deck, those cool special abilities, the territories that you get, and things. So set collection, kinda.
Yeah.
So it works. It's an engine building card game.
It is. I've had a couple of those, so those definitely count for me.
Yeah. Anyway, let's go to your number 5.
All right, my number 5 is a game
Oops.
that I really like. I'm really excited for its new expansion to come out in a couple of weeks. This is a head-to-head, really two-player combat game. The game is all about cards, though, because all of the combat comes through cards. The game is unmatched. And in that game, you've got a deck, and you're using your deck to sometimes to activate abilities. Sometimes you have to discard cards to do that. And all of the combat is by sort of picking the right moment to play a certain card. And it's not maybe a card game in the more traditional sense, but it is definitely a game where the cards have a lot to do with what you're doing in the game. And so it fit my list.
Okay. Yeah. I can see that. Yeah. I didn't like it that much, but I mean, like it is kind of like a card game. Yeah. But it is a card game, sort of. So I might agree with that. Anyway, let's go to my number 5. My number 5 is a crossover, the first one we have. And yeah, I agree with you. That's Wingspan. Already showed you that. But Wingspan is a card game in its core. And everything else, where you put those cards down, the tableau, and all the eggs and food tokens are just, extras to mark down different stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually, it's a tableau building card game. Wingspan, we don't have to talk more about that. It's a great game. So, your number 4.
All right. My number 4 is the first real true deck building game on the list. And it's not the only one, but this is a game that I love to play. This is one of those games that I just get so into. I recently played the newest expansion for it. It is Aeon's End. And in Aeon's End, you are using your deck to fight off some big nemesis. There are other things going on, but the Nemesis has its deck of cards, and really, though, your central mechanism is going to be trying to build and streamline your deck to do as much damage as possible to help you to win before you lose. There's a lot of expansions for it. There seems to be one that comes out every year, and it just adds so much stuff. But it is a game that I just every time I play this game, I just think this is the greatest game ever. This is, but it is at its core a deck building card game.
Yeah, I feel like I try to basically that's me though. I try to avoid deck builders because they are in its core just card games, and where everything resolves around those cards. And I don't know. That's what I told you. This is a hard topic where we can agree to disagree, and I don't know exactly if ANZ is the definition for me for a card board game, but maybe it is because it feels bigger than just a card game indeed. Okay, my number 4 is a game that I'm sure you will agree on, that it is essentially a card game, but the way the cards are used, it's a board game. It's a board game that uses the cards as they could be tokens instead or something else. And I'm talking about First Class.
Yeah.
I feel like First Class is a card game, but it is basically it's a board game using cards, because building up those
You're building the board as you go.
Yeah, I mean, in this game you are building those strange, not tracks, but basically your wagons and things, and you're drafting cards from the center, which are actions. You are basically the cards are like tiles. The cards are like action cards. The cards are like bonuses. It's built up as a card game, because one thing I felt like it's a card game, it's because it has those different modules, and those different modules are card decks that you combine with each other.
Yep.
So in this one, it's an engine building game. You're trying to score the most points. It's a point salad game. It has different modules that add different cool extra actions, ways to score points. But by the end of the day, you're just drafting actions from the center of the table, which are basically cards that let you build more wagons, upgrade those wagons, and build the rail tracks, advance your rail system there, and get more bonuses and get more points. So, and getting the passengers and getting the conductors out in the wild in your train. So
wild.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, I agree. I didn't think about this one, but I can see what you're talking about here. It definitely is all cards.
But it is a board game. You could change it to tiles. Sure. Not all of them, but most of things.
Yeah.
Anyway, your number 3.
All right, my number 3 is the second deck building game. I did try to avoid them, but there were two that I just like so much, and they have so much to do with the cards. This one, even more than Aeon's End, is just really all about your own deck, but there's a whole lot of physical components involved too. That game is Clank, and your cards to drive yourself through this dungeon, get things. I mean, there's sort of some timing and push your luck and movement aspects to it, but really it's a lot about these cards and making them work for you and getting the ones that will score you points, but also the ones that will allow you to get out so that you can score those points. It's really a great card game with a whole lot of trappings.
Yeah, that one I agree on. It is a deck building game, but it has a huge part of like the cards drive the overall game, but the game evolves around not just deck building, but also moving around the board, collecting artifacts. So not the strongest deck wins, but whoever gets to manage the board better wins. So this is a good choice. Okay, so let's go to my number 3. My number 3 is a game that you might not agree on that it's a card game, because in its core it's an economic game, but it's towards that your Ticket to Ride choice, because it's called Stockpile. And I feel like Stockpile is a card game for me. It uses a ton of cards. I mean, like, it is the stocks, the special abilities, the trading fees, the stock booms and things. This is all cards. The how the those different tracks interact. This is all cards. But it is essentially a board game through the card play.
Sure.
You're drafting. Basically, it's a card drafting game. But the card drafting and bidding, basically, yeah. Bidding. If you combine those two, and there's a card money, but let's skip the card money. That's that.
That's not the one I'd hang it on, but
yeah. But I mean, maybe you'll agree with me. But it is a card game, or it's card-based economic game. Let's say.
Sure. Okay.
So
I'll take it.
It's towards your Ticket to Ride choice. It's also essential
choices. This was not the best defined topic, and so it's kind of, I mean, I can see where you're coming from. It was not one that even crossed my mind, but it's a good game, and it is definitely based upon those cards.
Yeah. So let's go to your number 2.
My number 2, I almost saved for the next list, which is just sort of card games. This one does have a few non-card components, but it is essentially all cards. But it is so big, it just really doesn't fit onto a small card game list, and that's Sentinels of the Multiverse. I mean, this game is all cards. You've got a deck of villain cards that come out, and you do different things with them, and they do different things to you. Each hero has its own deck, not a deck building game at all. You just have your deck, and that is what it is. And you're, playing cards and trying to make combos that will work well to you and activate your special abilities. And really, you're trying to conquer the villain by using cards. And the game is just a bunch of cards with a few trackers and tokens to keep track of things, status effects. It is much too big for a small card game. But it is definitely a card game at heart, and I just, that's my number 2.
Yeah, that's the game where I think it lingers somewhere in between of those two topics. It's not a small card game. It's not, it doesn't feel than just, a let's say Red 7, but for me, it doesn't also feel like a card board game, like, for example, First Class or Wingspan. I don't know. There's just nothing else except.
I agree. But it doesn't. But it's. I don't know. I think it fits better here than it does on the small card.
Yeah. True.
I would have liked if I tried to call it a small card game, because it's now in a box that's this big.
It's in between. It's all cards. It's just cards eventually, but on the other hand, it doesn't feel small. So yeah, I don't know. It's controversial pick. Let's do that. Anyway, my number 2.
Very well.
My number 2 is the one that you will agree on because it's a crossover, another one. And of course, we're talking about Abyss. Abyss is a... When I was thinking about this topic, I thought about Abyss first, because this is, for me, a prime example of a card game made into board game, a card game made to feel bigger than just a card game.
Yeah.
But yeah, eventually the Lords are cards, the exploration cards are also cards, the allies, basically, and you are almost basically like upgrading the smaller cards into bigger cards and the bigger cards into those locations, which could also be cards, but they are better as boards because they can cover abilities.
Mhm.
Yeah, wholeheartedly agree, and it's a great game, and I think it's grown on me because the more I play Abyss, the more I appreciate its simple design. Though I play with both expansions because, well,
Just for some simplicity.
yeah, I mean, like they are not so hard to understand. They are not so hard to learn. The only is black pearls. Maybe that like people asking why can't I use my black pearls right away or pay more than one. But eventually they get that, and it becomes a cool mini game of trying to get rid of your black pearls
Yeah,
and give this Cthulhu miniature, whatever it is, the Kraken miniature, what I call it, Cthulhu miniature, to another person.
sure.
You know, just love it. It's just so simple and so engaging.
I like you when we first talked about the topic. This one and Clank, those were the first two. I mean, I just that those are cardboard games for me.
Yeah,
The others I filled in later.
same. Except maybe I realized Wingspan is something that's also for me into that category. Like
Mhm.
Wingspan is 100% for me. Abyss is 100% for me, and then there will be a number one. You'll see.
Okay.
Anyway, your number one, your last
My
pick.
number one is not predictable at all, but my number one is my favorite card game of all time that also involves a board and tactical movement, and it's Summoner Wars. Surprise, surprise. Uh, this is a game about cards, right? It's a hand management game at its core. There is, of course, the tactical movement and positioning, a little bit of deck construction, but really the game comes down to using your cards, your hand of cards, effectively, either as magic to pay for new units or as the units themselves. And that's the core decision of the game. And the rest is all just sort of ways that that decision can be more or less important. There are dice, there is a board. It looks like you found like the old version 1.0 that came in a small box and almost could have qualified as a small card game. Uh, but
Hmm.
but that's I mean, look, it's a game I love. It's a game that I always want to play. It's one of my most played games of all time. And it's but at its I mean it's okay, it's supposed to be Heroescape in card form, and that is what it is, right? Heroescape is certainly not a card game, but this one does the same sort of game, but does so with a deck of 34 cards, and I think it's fantastic.
True. Okay.
It is a card board game.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, i- if you could imagine that, let's say, can you replace these cards with miniatures or tokens? Yes, basically. You could just, use the cards as a tableau in front of you and play with the miniatures that represent those cards. So that would be the same. So I can totally see it being a card board game than just a card game because it's unusual way you use the cards,
Mm-hmm.
and they are units basically. They are mana, they are units, they are your card hand. So
Yep.
all right, so and my number one is totally predictable. I think you know what it is. Do you want to say? No.
Is it Maracaibo?
No, it less a Kaiba.
Oh, okay.
It's more a Clank.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's sorry. Anyway, yeah, we talked about Clank. It's amazing. It's great. This is, as you said, Abyss and Clank were the first two. Was totally same for me. Clank came up, and Abyss came up, and then the Wingspan basically was third that came up, and everything else I start to squeeze in and try to understand if they are towards that or the other one, and they were like in between sometimes. But the Clank is a cardboard game. It's it's essentially combining board game, which is like moving on the board and collecting resources, with a card play, which is a deck building, which is a one of the most famous and and well-known card mechanisms.
Mhm.
So this is the perfect example of that. Another perfect example of that. So that's why Clank and Abyss were in my 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Love Clank, and Clank Legacy made me love Clank much, much more.
Did you finish it yet?
Sadly, no, because of the pandemic. We had to we started also playing Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle. So we had to, it's the same person I play with who plays in that same group. We play Harry Potter. So we had to, put Clank on pause for a moment so we could finish those last 2 or 3 games. And then pandemic came, and then we cannot play Harry Potter nor Clank, sadly.
Well, that's very sad. Well, I certainly don't disagree because it was on my list. So there we go.
Anyway, let's stop sharing the screen and get back to this view here. And that's basically it. That's the topic of the day for you. Top 10 card board games. Next time, when we get back into this online system, the wizardry, we will talk about card games or CCGs. No, it's card game. I mean, like they won't be CCGs on my part because I don't play CCGs. You might have.
I make no promises, but we will see.
Mm-hmm. At least I can make a promise because I haven't played any CCGs except Magic or maybe Pokemon or something like that, But yeah, we're going to talk about the games that are rather small, rather concentrated card games.
Right.
We'll go with that definition here. Thank you for watching.
We might end up disagreeing about a couple of things, but at least I think I'll have some small card games to talk about.
And your number one will be Summoner Wars?
No, I'm not going to put Summoner Wars on the next list because I don't think a game can be on both lists.
True. It's how you said. It's yeah. Anyway, thank you for watching, and we see you another time.
If we had
what?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was going to say if we had started this as just card games, I would not have put Summoner Wars on the list.
Okay.
But it's.
Yeah, okay. So one thing I wanted to say is that I wanted to split these two categories. So basically, not just do top 10 card games, because then it's small card games, big card games then it's a question: is Abyss a card game?
Right.
It's more like a board game, but it is a card game. It's that way we avoided the
exactly.
Yeah, I avoided that situation. Anyway, yeah. Now we're gonna say bye-bye. It's been 1.5 hours, so I think people want to go back to sleep or go do other stuff.
Who's sleeping? It's 8:30.
8:30, and it's what is it? It's 3:30 for me p.m. So anyway, have a nice day. And see you another time.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Sounds okay. Bye-bye.